Hi, fourth graders. Welcome to Math Workshop. Today we're going to be analyzing and organizing measurement data to help us solve the following problem. At the beginning of the year, Mrs. Carey gave each student in her class a new pencil that said, "Welcome to fourth grade" written on it. A month later, the class measured their pencils to the nearest 1/8 of an inch. Below is a table that shows you all of their pencil measurements. So we're going to use all of these measurements to help us answer some more questions about the data. But first, we notice that there's 26 different boxes with all sorts of different measurements in them. So the first thing I definitely want to do to solve this problem is to organize all of these measurements. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, as I said before, we're going to use the data below in this table to help us solve some problems. But first, we definitely need to organize it. Step 1. First, we should organize the data by length in a table so it's easier for us to read. It'll help us read the measurements, and then we can go ahead and plot our data. So I just made a simple table here. You can always draw one of these in your notebook, or if you like to do it on a computer, you can do a table, insert a table. So I organized by the pencil lengths from smallest to largest, and then I marked how many pencils that we had recorded at those lengths. Take a second to pause your video here so you can analyze the data. Okay, great job. Now let's move on to the second step. Step 2. Now that we have organized all of our data by size and amount, we can plot our data. Make sure that you always title your line plot and include the unit of measurement that your data represents. In this case, our pencil lengths were measured to the nearest 1/8 of an inch. So we have our title, and then we have the length in inches. Step 3, use the completed data plot to answer the following questions. So then we plotted our data based on the things we had in our table, and we are going to use our completed data plot to answer the following questions. Number 1, how many students have a pencil that is shorter than 2 7/8 inches? Take a moment and pause your video and analyze the chart to help you answer this question. Great job. So you knew that you wanted to look at all of the data that was less than 2 7/8. So let's go ahead and count those points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there were 13 students that had pencils that were shorter than 2 7/8 inches. What is the most common pencil length? Well, that's pretty easy. We can see it just by looking at our line plot. We know that the most common pencil measurement is 2 7/8 inches. How many pencils are less than 2 2/8 inches long? So we have 2 2/8. How many are less than that? 1, 2, 3. 3 pencils. And what are their combined lengths? So they want us to combine all of these fractions and measurements. Pause your video and take some time to add up all of those units. Okay, if we're combining all of these lengths, first we're going to add up the whole numbers. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and then we're going to add the numerators of these two fractions. 7 plus 1 is 8, so that's 8/8, which is 1 whole, so we actually have 6 inches when we combine all three of those measurements. Great job. Number 4, how many pencils are between 2 7/8 and 3 2/8 inches long? And the second part of the question is, what is their combined length? Pause your video and try to solve these two problems. Okay, so for part A, they asked us how many pencils are between these two measurements. So we're going to look up at our line plot, and we know that these are the two measurements they were asking us about. So there are 1, 2, 3 pencils in between those two measurements. And then they said, what is their combined length? So they want us to add 3 plus 3 1/8. Okay, the question was, what is their combined length? So we have a unit of 3 inches for one measurement of a pencil, and then there were 2 pencils that were 3 1/8 of an inch long. So we're going to add 3 1/8 plus 3 1/8 plus 3. We're going to go ahead and add those whole numbers first. 3, 6, 9. So we're going to have 9, and then we're going to add the numerators across. 1 plus 1 is 2. So our answer is going to be 9 2/8 inches. Okay, number 5. There are 4 parts to this question. So I'm going to read you each part, and then I'm going to have you pause the video, and I want you to try to answer these on your own. 5A, how long is the longest pencil? B, how long is the shortest pencil? C, what is the combined length of the shortest and longest pencils? And D, what is the difference in length of the longest and shortest pencils? Take a moment to try to solve and answer all of these problems. How long is the longest pencil? Well, we know that our longest pencil is 3 4/8 of an inch long. How long is the shortest pencil? We know that that is 1 7/8. What is the combined length of the shortest and longest pencils? So they want us to add 3 4/8 plus 1 7/8. We can write that 2 different ways. You could write 4 11/8, but that's an improper fraction. So if we wanted to reduce that, we can reduce it to 5 3/8. Okay. D, what is the difference in length of the longest and shortest pencils? So they want us to subtract 1 7/8 from 3 4/8. 3 4/8 minus 1 7/8. We do have a common denominator, but we need to make these fractions improper because we cannot subtract 7 away from 4. I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to do that and set it up for you, and I want you to try to do that on your own. Okay, so I went into these fractions and I made them improper fractions so we could solve the subtraction problem. In order to do that, you multiply the whole number by the denominator and then add the numerator. So I converted 3 4/8 to 28/8 and 1 7/8 to 15/8. Then I can go ahead and subtract. 28 minus 15 is 13/8. But if we want to reduce that, because that's an improper fraction as well, we know that we can take away one whole unit, so one group of 8, and we have 5 left over. So our answer would be 1 5/8. All right, 4th graders, the next steps that you need to complete are to go back to Google Classroom and start Thursday's math work. If you need a refresher, you can always go back and watch today's video again. Good luck!